Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Pagani Design PD-1644. This watch is available from Pagani Design official store on AliExpress for €76. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the watch comes in this familiar Pagani Design matte black cardboard watch box, and the watch sits on a piece of foam inside a foam cutout panel as one would expect. Although basic, it does suffice in protecting the watch in shipping, and I think it's perfectly acceptable, bearing in mind that this is a low tier price point piece at only €76. With regards to the other items, this is the plastic tag that comes with the watch. One also gets this plastic guarantee card, which isn't filled in, but I'm pleased to report that the watch is covered by a 12-month international guarantee, which is very reassuring. This is the owner's instruction manual. Now, this user's manual is basic, although it does have diagrams and it does have explanations in English, so it is a useful read if you're unfamiliar with the movement used in the watch, which is the Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz. Lastly, one also gets this Pagani Design branded microfiber polishing cloth, and I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth irrespective of the price point of a watch. So, with regards to the specification of the watch itself, this is the Pagani Design PD-1644, and as you can see, it is clearly an homage to the Rolex Daytona. It does that very well because it has very similar proportions to the Rolex Daytona: 40mm case diameter, it has a 48mm lug-to-lug measurement, it has a thickness of 11.3mm, and it has a lug width of 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm down to the flip lock clasp. So the proportions are perfect. 40mm with a 20mm lug width is a very well balanced piece. Sapphire crystal. Now there is a negative to it. There is no AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal. And the absence of AR coating means it is highly reflective. As you can see, when I tilt it in the light, there is a lot of glare. However, one has to expect some cost-cutting measures, bearing in mind that this is only €76. Applied indices complement the baton-style hands, which are very close to the Daytona design. I like the layout of the three subdials and also the placement of the date complication between the 4 and 5 o'clock indices on the dial. The date wheel is white with black Arabic numerals, and it works very well, very clearly legible, and I think they've made the correct choice by citing the date window between 4 and 5 o'clock because it retains the symmetry of the three subdials. Screw down pushers, which are coin edge finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, coin edge screw down crown, which is signed with a Pagani Design emblem and finished to a high standard. So let's test out the crown action. Absolute pleasure to operate. Silky smooth, good interface between the internal thread of the solid stainless steel crown and the external thread of the crown tube. 100 meters of hermetic seal, which is very good, and one can hack the movement by pulling out the crown to the last position and restart it again by pushing it back in. Good positive click, and also the quick set date complication is easy to operate when one moves it to the second click. If you look at the date complication, you can see the quick set date operates correctly. Now, with regards to the pushers, let's test out those. So I'm just going to screw back down the crown and test the thread action first. Absolute pleasure. It's really like Rolex quality, silky smooth. So I'm going to unscrew both of the crowns and just test out the threads, and then we'll test the chronograph complication. Silky smooth thread action on both the pushers as well. So the top pusher activates the chronograph, it starts it, and if you look at the second hand, you'll see it begins to sweep around the dial. So that works correctly. Pressing it again stops the chronograph complication. The bottom pusher activates the flyback complication, and it makes the second hand on the chronograph fly back to the 12 o'clock index on the dial. As you can see, that works perfectly, and it also aligns correctly at the 12 o'clock index on the dial. So the chronograph complication works perfectly, and the screw down pushers work very well. They also provide an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters of water resistance, as does the screw down crown. So this is something I want to give due credit to Pagani Design for. Very well executed crown action and very well executed pusher action. The screw down threads are excellent throughout. The ceramic bezel insert is finished to a flawless finish. Very similar to a Rolex Daytona ceramic bezel. It has the tachymeter scale, and the Arabic numerals and the minute ticks are indexed very well, no flaws whatsoever, and it's an absolute pleasure to look at because the glossy black ceramic bezel complements the flat sapphire crystal. So very eye-catching, very aesthetically pleasing, and it's just done to perfection. I think they deserve due credit. With regards to the case finishing, mirror polish to the tops of the lugs, flanks of the case, and brushed satin finish to the underside of the case. Solid stainless steel case back, which is made from 316L grade stainless steel, mirror polish to the exterior, and the centre section is concentric brushed satin finish. As you can see, nicely engraved with the specification, and it provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 metres of water resistance. So very good quality. Now also I like the fact that it's a mecha quartz because it's very low profile. This is something that's good about this piece, the PD-1644. It is a low profile piece at only 11.3mm thick, and that is the main advantage of a mecha quartz rather than a manual wind mechanical movement, or alternatively an automatic movement which has to have a rotor on the underside, because they are significantly thicker. They would be in excess of 13mm for a chronograph. So flat screw down case back, and that really does add to the low profile of the case. Solid end links are a good fit to the case, and also they are well finished. These solid end links are a good tight fit to the case. There's no play whatsoever, and I think Pagani Design deserve full credit for that. Brushed satin finish to the outer links, mirror polished centre links, and mirror polish to the flanks. Screw pins in the bracelet rather than push pins, which is always nice to see. And the quality of the flip block clasp finishing is outstanding. Mirror polished centre section, mirror polished flanks, and brushed satin finish outer with the flip lock is also very well executed. So let's look at the interior, and again very well finished. Brushed satin finish to the centre section of the solid milled stainless steel clasp. Now the end of the clasp has a 5mm Rolex EasyLink style extension, and that does work very well. It adds 5mm to the length of the bracelet, so one can use it in warmer weather, or for example if one's active, to adjust the bracelet on the fly by adding an additional 5mm using that EasyLink style extension. It clicks in and out of the body of the clasp very well, and I like it. I think they've definitely improved upon the quality of the flip lock clasp used on the PD-1644 versus earlier versions. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet, I've simply taken the watch out of the watch box, and I'm pleased to report that it fits my 8-inch wrist, no problems whatsoever. So this will fit you if you're a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist or a 7 to 8-inch wrist respectively. Now one thing I really like about this piece is it gives absolutely sublime comfort. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot with regards to lug measurement, and this is exactly 48mm. So it doesn't matter if you have a 6 to 7-inch wrist or a 7 to 8-inch wrist, you're going to find the 48mm sweet spot of that lug to lug measurement to fit you to perfection. Sublime comfort and also sublime feel good factor. It's a very aesthetically pleasing piece. I love the glossy black ceramic bezel and also the flat sapphire crystal, which although highly reflective, it is very eye-catching, and it's just an absolute pleasure to look at. The mirror polished tops of the lugs complement the mirror polished centre links in the bracelet, and overall it's just a very good looking piece, very comfortable piece to wear due to the flat stainless steel screw down case back. And bearing in mind it's only 11.3mm, so it is a low profile piece. It's easily going to fit underneath the shirt cuff if you wear business shirts, so an ideal daily wear piece. Now with regards to the heft, it's 140 grams, which for a 40mm case with a solid 316L grade stainless steel bracelet is relatively light. One would expect it to be 150 grams, so at 140 grams, it's a comfortable piece to wear for long periods of time. So if you're looking for a piece to wear for 8 to 12 hours per day, for example, this will suffice. So let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it uses C3 Luminova. Now, C3 Luminova is one of my personal favourites because of the characteristic green tone which replicates tritium. Tritium Lume has of course now become obsolete. It's been discontinued due to its radioactivity. Tritium was succeeded by Luminova, and then Luminova was succeeded by Superluminova. So although it's not as bright as Superluminova, it is glowing to an acceptable standard. I would describe the C3 Luminova as being okay performance. There is room for improvement, and yes, Pagani Design could improve it by upgrading to C3 Superluminova. But however, one has to expect some cost-cutting measures, and I think it is acceptable to use Luminova at this price point rather than C3 Superluminova. So it's okay, but really it could do with some more lume on the baton hands, because as you can see, like the indices, they are fading and beginning to fade fast. Right, so let's discuss the movements. The movement used, the Seiko VK63, which is made in Japan. It's a mecha quartz movement, reliable, well-proven workhorse mecha quartz movement. The stated accuracy is plus or minus 20 seconds per month. So just put that into perspective. Plus or minus 20 seconds per month is greater accuracy than plus or minus 1 second per day. So very accurate movement, very reliable, good build quality, and it is a very well-proven movement. Now the VK63 has a stated battery life of 3 years, and the 3-year battery life is based upon you using the chronograph for 60 minutes per day. But in reality, you're not going to be using the chronograph complication for 60 minutes per day. You can significantly extend that 3-year battery life if you use it less than 60 minutes per day. So for example, if you don't use the chronograph for 60 minutes per day, it's nothing unusual for a Seiko VK63 battery to last for 4 or 5 years. So very reliable, practical daily wear piece, and bearing in mind that it's a mecha quartz, one doesn't have to keep setting the date, one doesn't have to manually wind it, and it is a battery powered mecha quartz movement. So it's reliable, accurate, and also very practical as a daily wear piece. So lastly, I will surmise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. At €76, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and it is unquestionably excellent value. If you're looking for a Daytona Homage under €100, this is it. It cannot be beaten. To get a Seiko VK63 made in Japan mecha quartz movement, sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel, screw down pushers, screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, and a solid 316L grade stainless steel bracelet with a flip-lock clasp, it's just exceptional. The build's quality, the quality control, the case finishing are outstanding throughout. There are no negatives whatsoever other than the lack of AR coating and also the weak Luminova performance, but one has to expect some cost-cutting measures, and at €76 I still think it is excellent quality. So I'm going to highly recommend it to you for your consideration. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've liked my review of the Pagani Design PD-1644. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.